Hey there, I am Junebug, welcome to my channel. Today we are diving into a fun project I've been working on, creating my own Pokemon cards. Hang out with me or draw along as I chat about my inspiration and work. I started this project for my advanced illustration course. The semester's goal was to create 7 full art Pokemon illustrations. I still have a couple to go, but right now I'm working on my Mischief card that you can see here. I've finished Poplio, Eevee, and Leafeon. Why this project? Well, for this class we got to decide what we wanted to do for the semester. I've had a resurgence of my love of Pokemon recently, especially the art. Growing up, I loved Pokemon, and I have a ton of childhood drawings of various Pokemon. I was actually introduced to it mainly through Super Smash Bros. Brawl. One of the boss battles in story mode was actually Rayquaza. Rayquaza? I never know if I'm saying that right. Rayquaza? Okay. Rayquaza was actually the first Pokemon I drew, though. It's a beautiful piece, as you can tell. Top tier gallery work. My younger brother would occasionally get the Pokemon cards from friends or buying them himself, and I would look through them and beg him for the ones I liked. Skitty, Clefairy, and Weasel were definitely my favorites. I loved the art, the cards, and the designs. Like I said, I recently started getting into Pokemon again and have fallen in love with the art, specifically. One of the first full art cards I pulled recently was a Radiant Gardevoir. It's absolutely beautiful, and I just had to create my own. For this project, the first card design I did was the Poplio. One of my classmates said the Poplio was their favorite, and from what I could find, there is not a full art Poplio card, so I had to remedy that. I wanted to have fun with lighting and color and keep the line art simple. The next cards were Eevee and Leafeon. I love the evolutions and wanted to focus on a storytelling card with the trainer. I made Eevee and Leafeon with an original character trainer who still needs a name. I think she's giving Abigail vibes, so I'm just gonna call her Abigail now. I had fun designing Abigail, but kept her design fairly simple. She's an adventurous girl who enjoys nature, which played a large role in her Eevee evolving into a Leafeon. When she was younger, she would often get into trouble for being reckless, climbing trees, swimming in ponds, and exploring the forest. As she grew up, her Eevee evolved into a Leafeon. Abigail became a nature guide and now explores as a profession, finding Pokemon and adventure. I loved how these two cards turned out. Designing the smaller details like the pins and the bandanas was such a fun way to add personality. I also added way too many hair clips on the Eevee card, but Abigail seemed like that kind of kid. I loved the idea of having 2 different seasons on the cards, and I think it made them even better. The fall colors are so pretty, and I had so much fun with the cherry blossoms. The one I'm working on now, that you can see, is a Mischief card. I'm using similar ideas as Abigail's cards, but a canon Pokemon character. Pokemon Violet was actually the first Pokemon game I personally owned, and I absolutely adored these characters. Arven in particular was my favorite. I wanted to pay homage to him and make a card for him with his Mischief and later Mabostiff. If you don't know, Arven is a character in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet who you meet early on. His parent is the professor of the games, and he has a special interest in the Herba Mystica, a magical ingredient, and making sandwiches out of them. As you go throughout the story, you find out that he has a sick Mabostiff, and it's supposedly the Herba Mystica are supposed to heal his buddy. Arven's storyline, of course, tugged at my heartstrings, but he is also just a compelling character with lots of personality, fantastic development, and dreams to become a chef in the end. In my cards, I wanted to show Mischief and Arven relaxing as kids with various hints to their future story. I plan to make a Mabostiff card next, with Arven and Mabostiff post-storyline, enjoying life both healthy and happy. Okay, now I'm just kind of gonna talk about the piece in the background. This is the Mischief, not Mabostiff, that's the one I'm going to be working on, but the Mischief card and Arven. I had so much fun designing it and making them both younger and little kids. Mischief is one of the cutest Pokemon in my opinion, but he's also a dog, so it sways me a little bit. Mischief's Pokédex entries are kind of the greatest things. that says, "It always scowls in an attempt to make its opponents take it seriously, but even crying children will burst into laughter when they see Mastiff's face. And its well-developed jaw and fangs are strong enough to crunch through boulders, and its thick fat makes for an excellent defense." Which are both fantastic. We love a defensive Pokemon. But the fact that it scowls to try to seem tougher and scary, but then kids laugh at it, is so endearing and funny in a sad way. I would just love to see him a Mastiff and pet him and love him. He's precious. For this project as a whole, I still have 3 cards left to make, which I am planning on making a Mabostiff card with Arven, like I said, then a Feebas, and finally a Spectrier. With the Feebas, I'm actually making him out of clay, and then I'm going to photograph him and illustrate on top of that. So we'll see how that turns out. I can put some progress pictures on the screen. But yeah, Feebas is kind of a cutie. He's ugly and I love him. With the Mastiff card, I spent so much time trying to get the values right. I was thinking I could try a different way of coloring it so I could match values and everything. And I kind of mapped the values out beforehand, but then I just gave up a little bit after trying to color it that way. I wasn't liking how the colors were turning out. I wasn't liking how it looked altogether, so I ended up redoing the coloring, trying to stick to similar values, but mostly focused on the relationships between colors. I think it turned out a lot better in the end than this kind of desaturated greenish piece. It wasn't my favorite. I wasn't happy with how it was looking. So I'm glad that I redid the coloring, and you'll see it soon enough. My ferret's awake. He's climbing around. I have a ferret named Soba. I'll put a picture of him. But yeah, so I was working on the pattern for his picnic blanket because I wanted to make it look good and, look official. I don't know. But it was kind of fun to make the plaid and then distort it a little bit. Yeah. So, hold on. Soba's scratching. Hey. Yeah. Hi, cutie. Okay. Now Soba's watching. But this is kind of when I was recoloring but trying to use similar values still. Continuing through that. Yeah, I liked this way a lot better. I liked having a mapped out values, but it was more stressful, I think. Shading, I just wanted to do something really simple because I wanted to put some lighting on top of it. So I just kind of did a blue multiply layer, I think. I'd have to look. I kind of just wing it every time. If you have any tips or tricks for that, I'm always open to hear different ways. Hi, Soba. Yeah. But yeah, so this is just the shading, getting some texture in there. There's not a ton going on. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with Pokemon, you probably don't recognize most of the fruits or berries around them. That's okay. They are Pokemon-specific berries. I just wanted to add some of them in there to make it work a little better in the world and just to kind of have some fun with the aspect of it being a picnic. I put a sandwich because in Scarlet and Violet you make sandwiches all the time to give power-ups, and that's also what Arven feeds his Mabostiff to heal him with the Herba Mystica. So that is why there is a little salami and lettuce sandwich in there. It's really simple. Sorry, Soba was scratching again. But that is kind of the explanation of all of that. I gave Mastiff a water bowl and also a little Pokeball, and also put a Pokeball pin on Arven's backpack just to kind of add some subtle details because those are fun. This was kind of finishing up shading. I was adding grass texture because I didn't want to do a whole intense thing, but I wanted to have some sort of depth. And then with the lighting, this was me trying to figure out the lighting. I wanted a leaf texture like sun shining through the leaves. Someone in my class suggested that, and I thought it would be really fun to implement. So I kind of tried some different ways, tried some different color layers, and yeah, that's what I ended up with. So here is the finished Arven and Mischief card. I am honestly so happy with how it turned out. And then here are the other three that I finished. I honestly feel like I've just gotten better with every one of them, which is kind of fun to see, especially because art plateaus are never fun. I feel like I've kind of been in one of those. But yeah, this is the 4 Pokemon cards I've made so far. Thank you all for watching and being here while I talk to you about the Pokemon cards I'm making and my class project. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought. Comment down below if you have any ideas or thoughts on what I should do next. Let me know if you like this style of video. I have not done much on here and this is totally new, so let me know what you think. And have a great day!